Old tech was never supposed to be scary. A TV, a film reel, a slide projector, just machines, right? But back in the 70s, some devices didn't just play static or pictures. They showed you things you were never meant to see. These are 3 terrifying stories from that era. It was the fall of 1973 when my family started picking up Channel 18. We lived in a small town in northern Idaho, real quiet. We had one black and white TV set with rabbit ears, and 5 channels if the weather was good. Sometimes 6, if Dad wrapped aluminum foil just right. But Channel 18 wasn't real. It didn't show up on any TV guide. None of the neighbors got it. The antenna didn't even need to be adjusted. It was just there, late at night, after the regular stations went off air. It started with a tone, one long, low hum that made your jaw ache. Then static, then a voice, a man's voice. Calm, warm, almost. He said, "You found it. You found Channel 18. The first night, I thought it was a late-night movie intro, but there was no movie, just him, sitting in a dark room behind a desk, lit by a greenish lamp. He looked straight at the camera and said, "David, you're not sleeping well, are you?" I was 13, and I hadn't told anyone I'd been having nightmares, not even my parents. I laughed nervously and turned it off. The next night, he was back. Same lamp, same desk, same hum. "Your father keeps the whiskey under the sink, doesn't he?" I froze. He didn't say it to the audience, he said it to me, like we were having a conversation, but I never answered out loud. The third night, I called my friend Tommy over. We waited until 11:42. That's when it always started. The screen flickered. The man appeared. But this time, he said, "Tommy, you shouldn't have brought someone else." Tommy screamed. No joke. He actually screamed and bolted out of the house. He wouldn't talk to me for a week. That night, I left the TV on and watched through my fingers, and he smiled. The man on Channel 18 smiled right at me. He said, "It's okay. This is just for you." After that, things changed. Not just with me, but the whole house. Dad said the pipes were groaning at night. Mom kept misplacing her cigarettes, only to find them in the freezer or under the couch cushions. And me? I stopped sleeping altogether, because Channel 18 stopped waiting for 11:42. It came on randomly, during cartoons, during baseball games. Once, it flickered on during the news, and the anchor's voice warped into his voice. Same message every time. "Don't let them change the channel." I didn't. One night, I tried recording it. I snuck my dad's tape recorder out, propped it up near the speaker, and hit record. The man didn't like that. He leaned forward, resting both elbows on the desk, and said, "David, you know that's not allowed." The screen went black, and when I played back the tape, it was empty, just static in that same low hum until the end. One sentence, spoken in my voice, "I told you not to." That's when I unplugged the TV. Cold turkey. Hauled it out of my room and begged my dad to store it in the garage. It didn't matter. Channel 18 followed me. Every screen I saw, school televisions, store displays, even reflections in windows, I'd catch a flash of green light, a shape in the corner, a whisper just below hearing. And then one day, it stopped. For 30 years. I'm telling you this now because I found something. Yesterday, while cleaning out my parents' attic, I found our old Zenith TV, still dusty, still heavy, and inside the cardboard box, a note in my handwriting. I never wrote it. It said, "Plug it in." He's still waiting. I was 19 in the summer of 1977, working the projection booth at the Mayfair Cinema. It was a one-screen theater with sticky floors, burnt popcorn, and a broken neon sign that never lit up the Y. So to most people, it was just the Ma Fair. Didn't matter, I loved it. I ran the reels, fixed the bulbs, cut trailers together by hand. It was quiet work. Lonely sometimes, but peaceful. That changed the day I found the canister. It was tucked behind a stack of old film cases we hadn't touched in years. The label was peeling, but I could make out one thing. Reel 6, do not screen. I thought it was a joke. A prank from one of the older guys. But I spooled it onto the flatbed editor just to peek. The first few frames were black. Then grainy footage of a street I didn't recognize. Parked cars, a storefront, a payphone. It looked like security footage, except it had been filmed on 35mm. Who does that? Then the camera panned, and I froze. It showed me, standing outside the theater, smoking. Same jacket I wore every shift. I blinked, rewound, and played it again. It wasn't like me, it was me. Same posture, same dumb haircut, same mole behind my left ear. The film had dust on it. This wasn't filmed yesterday, I didn't tell anyone. I waited until closing and watched the rest alone in the booth. The next scene showed the lobby. It was dark after hours. Then, flicker, flicker, someone stepped into frame. A man in a long coat. No face, just darkness under the brim of a hat. He walked up to the candy counter and tapped once on the glass, then turned and stared right at the camera, right at me. The next morning, the theater door was open, unlocked. The assistant manager swore he'd locked it. Nothing was missing, but the candy counter glass had a smudge, just one, like someone had tapped it with their finger. I told myself it was a coincidence. That night, I watched the reel again. This time, it had a new scene, my apartment. It showed me asleep on the couch. Then the man in the hat entered. No footsteps, no sound, just that awful flicker-flicker of film skipping frames. He walked over and leaned down and whispered something into my ear. I couldn't hear it, but in the next frame, I sat up and looked right at the camera. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I tried to burn the reel. I took it out behind the theater, dumped lighter fluid all over it, and tossed in a match. It didn't catch. The metal canister was hot to the touch, but when I opened it, the film was still intact. Not even a scorch mark. That night, it was back in the booth, spliced onto the projector, already threaded. I locked the doors, pulled the curtains, hit play. This time, the reel started with a countdown. 5, 4, 3, and then it showed something I couldn't explain. The theater, seats full. All the people were facing away, but their heads turned in perfect sync to look at me. Then the man in the hat walked on screen and sat in the center. He turned, faced the camera, and lifted his hand. He waved. The next day, I quit, didn't give notice, didn't return my keys, I just left town. Moved in with my cousin 3 hours away. Got a job washing dishes at a diner. It felt safe. Until last week. I came home and found a package on the front step, no return address. Inside was a film reel, same size, same canister, same label. Reel 7, do not screen. But this one wasn't dusty, it was clean, new. I don't own a projector anymore, and I'm not going to try and find one, but sometimes late at night I swear I hear it. The click, click, click of a reel spinning from inside the closet. I used to think the worst part of being a substitute teacher was the smell. Old chalk, coffee breath, gym socks stuffed in desks. But in 1975, I took a long-term sub job at Fairdale Junior High. And the worst part wasn't the smell. It was the slide projector. They kept it in the back of room 2C under a flannel sheet. You know the kind. Gray metal body, a circular tray on top, buzzing fan that never quite shuts up. The regular history teacher had gone on medical leave. That's all they told me. No lesson plan, no notes, no warning. First day, I figured I'd roll the projector out and do the lazy teacher thing. Pop in some slides, dim the lights, and let the kids tune out. But the slides were already loaded, labeled in pencil, Unit 4, Local History. I pressed the button, click. The first image showed a classroom, this one, Room 2C, but not how it looked now. The desks were arranged differently. The chalkboard had cursive writing in yellow chalk, and in the back row, I saw a kid staring directly at the camera, eyes wide, mouth open, like he was mid-scream. Click. The next slide was a hallway. Same building, but older. The lockers were dented and rusty. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, and the same kid was there, standing under the exit sign, still screaming. I clicked through 5 more. Each one had that same kid. Library, cafeteria, bathroom mirror, same expression. It was like he was being chased or warning someone. I turned off the projector and sent the class to lunch early. They didn't complain. After school, I stayed behind to examine the tray. I wanted to take the slides out, study them up close, but the tray wouldn't budge. It was jammed or stuck. I tried lifting it, turning the release, even removing the bulb casing to get underneath. No dice, so I clicked through the rest. The second to last slide made my chest go cold. It was my apartment. Same ugly wallpaper, same leaning floor lamp. And in the window, barely visible behind the curtain, was a pale face. Not mine. The final slide showed a bedroom. Dark, blurry, almost too dark to make out. But I saw it. The bed, the bookshelf, the pair of shoes by the door. It was my room, and the person lying in the bed was me. Eyes closed. Unmoving. I yanked the plug from the wall and wheeled the projector into the hallway. Left it by the janitor's closet like it was radioactive. The next morning, it was back in room 2C, same spot, same flannel sheet, like it had never been touched. I called the school office and asked if anyone knew more about the projector or the teacher I was filling in for. The secretary went quiet. Then she said, Mr. Denham was the last one to use that thing. He left suddenly. Can't say more than that. I asked if I could use worksheets instead. Maybe show a film strip. She just said, use whatever you like. But if you take the projector apart, you'll have to explain it to the board. So I left it alone. Until Thursday. That's when the slide tray changed. Same projector, but the tray was now labeled in pen, Unit 5, Home Life. I shouldn't have clicked, but I did. The first slide was someone's front porch. Familiar, same mailbox, same cracked steps, mine. Second slide, my kitchen. Plates still in the sink. Half-eaten sandwich on the counter. Timestamp in the corner, today, 12:42 p.m. I'd been at school, alone. Third slide, the hallway in my apartment. My bedroom door was open, and in the dark was a shape, leaning, watching. I stopped there, covered the projector, turned on every light in the classroom. I taught with my back to the wall the rest of the day. That night, I called a friend who knew photography, told him about the slides, asked if he could help me get them out. He showed up the next morning before class with gloves and a toolkit. He popped the tray loose in under a minute. Every slide was blank, just clear plastic. No image, no label. He said maybe they were old teaching tools, that maybe heat or time had warped the images, but I saw them. And later that night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I picked up, and the voice on the other end whispered, "You forgot to finish the set." I quit the next morning. Never went back. The projector was probably still in room 2C, buzzing quietly, waiting for the next person to press click. I never will again. Oh.